What's up YouTube, Jeff back again today with a very exciting Samsung video for you guys, and today more Galaxy S25 Ultra setup. We're going to be talking about settings you should change immediately on your Galaxy S25 device. There's a lot of settings on your Galaxy phone and some of the defaults are things that you're not going to want. We'll go through that today. I know a lot of you guys just got your phone. Samsung shipped out the pre-orders very early and they started arriving as early as Thursday, January 30th here in the US. So I'm making this video so you guys can dive right into the settings and get your phone set up in the way that you would like it. Now, before we get started, do want to remind you guys, check out our website, sammyguru.com. We got the latest Samsung news, tips, tricks, tutorials, and reviews around the year. So you can always stay up to date with what's going on with Samsung, latest software updates, features, how to use your phone. If you haven't bought a Galaxy S25 device yet, tap the orange banner at the top. If you purchase through our link, you get a free mystery box with a case, cleaning kit, desktop phone stand, other randomly inserted goodies. Just purchase through our links here. We have them for all the devices. Fill out the verification form. The first set of boxes start shipping February 3rd to those who already pre-ordered through our link. So they'll be going out very soon. Check the pinned comment description if you're interested in that. And if you guys are interested in my wallpaper and also the case that I have over here to the side, this is a new joint venture I have with 14 Studio. We will have Galaxy S25 cases very soon, but the wallpaper as well as the case website will be below if you guys want to check that out. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into the list. I have a little Google Keep document here to go ahead and get you guys started. First thing is to adjust notification shade, quick panel settings, and preferences. Now, one thing you may not know if you haven't used One UI 7 yet on the beta is that now your notification window and your quick settings are separate. They are not combined like they were on the Galaxy S24 last year when you got it out of the box for One UI 6.1. However, you can adjust this if you want to change the setting. Simply go up here to the little pencil icon, and then once you go there, go to panel settings, and you can see right here, you can change this to put it back together. If you put it back together, essentially you're going to have the same setup that you had out of the box on the S24 series. You can also choose to move the quick panel to the other side. So if you want to switch so the quick panel is on the left, the notification panel is on the right, you can do that as well. I personally like the setup out of the box so far, and I've been using the One UI 7 beta for a while, so I'm going to leave this as it is, and I'd recommend you give it a shot as well, as it's really not a bad setup as you get used to it. Other things that you should do inside here as well is make sure you change all of your panels. These are all customizable. You can move them around, so you can move around the music toggle, you can move around your smart home controls, your nearby devices. I personally like to have the music all the way over the top. You can also move this, but you got your brightness, you got your sound there, and of course at the top you have your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which I do like those at the top because I use them the most. You can also edit your quick panel as well. You can make the quick panel larger, which I'll show you in a second, but you can also add available buttons. And there's a lot of available buttons here that you might want. For instance, I like to have extra dim mode. Over here, there's a couple others I like. Music share, sound notifications. What else we got over here that I use? Performance profile to change to light mode, Samsung wallet, secure folder, just a ton of good stuff. One hand operation plus if you use Good Lock. You can add as many of these toggles as you like, and you really should look through them and find the ones that are most useful to you. Now you can also adjust the size of this. You can make this really long. In fact, actually that's as long as you can make it. You could actually I think you can make it longer. You just have to add more quick toggles. You can make this as long as you want. I personally like 4 rows, but you can adjust it to your liking. And then this of course is how it appears right there in your quick panel. So definitely make sure you check all of this. All of these options, editable, you can customize them fully, and so you get the quick panel and the notification channel set up exactly the way that you want them. Up next, you probably want to change your app drawer to alphabetical order. Now, I know some people like the custom order, which is the default on Samsung phones, but most people like alphabetical order, and most people are also going to like the new vertical app drawer that Samsung has implemented with One UI 7. To get the vertical app drawer, you do need to go to the 3-dot menu and change the sort from custom to alphabetical. Now, if you prefer the custom order, which puts your newest apps, it orders them basically on the recency of when you installed the apps, that will still give you the horizontal app drawer where you have to swipe between the pages thusly. I'm not a huge fan of that, but you can sort it and then clean up pages so it cleans them up. But if you want the vertical app drawer with the alphabetical order, you do need to change it as that's not the default out of the box. You can also go down here and go to your other home screen settings and change one other thing that I like to change particularly about that is inside of the app grid, you can change this from 4 columns to 5 columns. And so that's exactly what I've done right there is I've changed the app grid from 4 to 5 just to give me a little bit more room. 4 columns is the default. So if you don't change it, that is what you'll get. Inside here, you can also put app labels and widget labels. And this year you can even change your app size on the home screen. I kind of like the app size as it is, but there are 3 sizes to choose from: small, medium, and large. So you may want to play with that as well and tune it to your preferences. Up next, let's dive into some display settings. There's a lot of display settings that are really important if we go into the settings and display menu. However, a couple that I want to mention right off the gate because they're really important and specific to the S25 series. If you scroll down and you go to screen resolution, you have 3 choices, as we have for many years now: HD+, FHD+, and QHD+ on the S25 Ultra. However, this year Samsung introduced new AI technology called ProScaler that enhances the color and overall vibrance and just overall quality of the images and videos that's on your screen, and it only works in QHD+. So if you have your phone set to the default out of the box, which is FHD+, you're actually not taking advantage of one of those key features that was added as an upgrade on the S25 Ultra. So make sure you enable QHD+ right away. Now, if we look at some of the other settings up here, of course, you've got dark and light mode, adaptive brightness, which you can turn on or off right here. And then when you have adaptive brightness off, you can then adjust the brightness. I always like to adjust the brightness manually. You can turn extra brightness on, which gives you some extra vibrancy when you're using it in manual brightness mode. Now, also up here, motion smoothness. This is on adaptive by default. Highly recommend leaving that so you get that extra smooth refresh rate. Eye comfort shield, you can use that at night while you're reading. Adaptive color tone, which is kind of like Apple's True Tone. It kind of makes the display yellow in certain lighting conditions, and I don't like it, but you can change it. Screen mode, you can customize from vivid to get those vibrant Samsung colors, or natural if you want something a little more muted. You can change the white balance and even change the values of RGB and the vividness right here. So if you want really, really vivid colors, you can turn this up. I like to turn it up to the middle setting personally. I think it gives me the right pop for my particular eye, but you can play around with everything, and that's what we love about Samsung in general. You've also got font size and style right in here. You can download custom fonts from the Galaxy Store. You can download custom fonts there and apply them. You can do bold font, change your font size as well. Camera cutout, you can hide the camera cutout, but it looks really weird with bars. I don't recommend doing that. Edge panels, you've got your edge panels over here. Now, one thing to note, Samsung did remove third-party edge panels from the Galaxy S25 Ultra because they removed it with One UI 7. And so there's no longer the option to basically download extra panels from the Galaxy Store that aren't made by Samsung. You still have these standard ones that are there, and you can enable your edge panel. You can also customize the handle position, transparency, size, etc., but you can no longer download third-party panels, which is a bit of a bummer. The navigation bar, you can change between buttons, which is the default, and swipe gestures, which is what I use personally. Under more options, you can choose the gesture sensitivity and also turn on to block gestures with the S Pen. I don't really leave this here blocked out because, I like to use the S Pen for gestures on occasion, depending on what I'm doing in a tutorial. Can also turn on or off circle to search. It is on by default. It's a great feature. It lets you hold down the navigation bar, search whatever's on your screen using Google. But I know some people don't love Google integrated with their Samsung phone. They're not big Google fans. You can turn that off right there if you so choose. Accidental touch protection, highly recommend that so you don't activate the screen in your pocket. Touch sensitivity, only for screen protectors. Otherwise, it makes things very annoying. I don't use a screen protector, so I don't have it there. And that's pretty much everything inside the display settings that I would personally recommend. Up next, let's take a quick look at the lock screen because Samsung did make some key changes to the lock screen. Not only do you have some new lock screen clocks and things like that, which you may want to change, the big change is down here on the lock screen shortcuts. If we long press here and go ahead and edit the lock screen, you'll notice you can now change these to not only applications, but also a bunch of different actions. And there's some actions I really like, flashlight particular, and another one that I really like, which is scan QR codes. You guys can see I have that one set right there. But there's also some other useful ones like mobile data, power saving, dark mode, do not disturb, Dolby Atmos, location, and airplane mode. And I personally find these more helpful than triggering an app because it's always easy to get right and way into an app once I unlock the phone. But I find out that these actions kind of are more useful. I use them more often than just jumping into an app from the lock screen. Now you can also put your camera here, but a lot of people map that to the side button. So you can decide if you would like to do that or if you want to go with the new actions. You also have some new clock styles. I'm using one of them right there. Quite a few of them. These two in particular are very, very cool. Some new widgets as well that have been added in One UI 7. The overall look and feel of the lock screen has definitely been revamped, and I definitely recommend checking it out and checking out the new actions that are available for the lock screen shortcuts. Up next, let's talk about the swipe for split screen and pop-up view. You guys saw me using pop-up view here on the Google Keep document. To get the ability to swipe for that, you need to go down to your advanced features. And then once you're inside the advanced features, you're going to go into multi-window. With multi-window here, you can turn on all three of these: swipe for split screen, swipe for pop-up, and full screen and split view. The swipe gesture for this pop-up basically works like this. You swipe from the top right corner and it opens the app in a pop-up window. It collects all of them together right there, and you can actually open both of them at the same time now. There's a button for that as well, which is very convenient. And then once you want to close out the application, you can do that, and then you're back to just having one. You can also do the same thing by swiping up to get into multi-window, and these gestures are just very helpful if you're multitasking, if you're a power user, and if you bought an Ultra, Galaxy S25 Ultra, you probably need some of those features because you obviously went with the top model. You want to get the most you can out of your phone. Also, rotate the landscape. Now, if you go into the home screen settings, if you long press and go into settings, there's a new option down here at the bottom. Usually this would work on the old phone back on the S24 series by default, but now you need to turn this on. If you want your phone to rotate to landscape mode when you rotate it, which means then when you rotate to landscape mode, it's going to go ahead and rotate on the home screen into landscape mode as well. And One UI 7 has a brand new redesigned landscape mode where the widgets look better, the spacing look better, everything looks a lot better than it did on the S24 Ultra and One UI 6.1.1. But you do need to turn this on if you want the rotation to work on the home screen. Of course, it'll work in other apps like YouTube, video apps, any other app you want. But if you want it specifically to work on the home screen as well, then you will need to enable that option inside of the settings as I just showed. Notification categories. Now, I already made a video dedicated to this in particular, but let's talk about it in this video as well because it is so very important, and Samsung continues to hide this. I don't know why they do it. If you go down into notifications, if you want to be able to get your notification categories managed on a per category basis, which also lets you have separate app sounds for your different apps, so notification sounds, you have to go to advanced settings, scroll down here and turn this on, manage notification categories for each app. So this will allow you to go in and change your app sound for each individual category within each app, like DMs for X and messages from Facebook or DMs from Instagram, whatever. I have a full tutorial on how to do this and get custom sounds. So if you guys want to check that, I'll also link that video. But you definitely want to enable this because this is a useful feature that for some reason Samsung has turned off by default on the Galaxy S25 series. Call recording and text call. So if you go into your phone application and you go into your settings here, we now have not only the ability to utilize text call, which allows Bixby to answer your calls. So if you have spam calls coming in, it can screen those calls and basically get rid of them right away for you so there's no issues. You can also pick the voice you want to use for this, choose the speech rate, and down here you've got quick responses. So you can add a quick response. You can say, yo, yo. Not that you would ever want this, but you can add whatever quick response you want and Bixby will say that to the caller. You just tap on it. When the call comes in, you tap text call, Bixby will answer it and you can feed it different quick responses. Down here, you can also now choose to play the other person's voice. So in addition to seeing the text on the screen as the person is speaking, you can also hear their voice. And of course, you can pick up the phone at any given time while Bixby is screening your call for you. We also now have native call recording on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I made a full video on this one as well, but it can do a couple of things. It can transcribe your calls, turn on auto transcribe recorded calls right here, and it'll save those transcripts for you and attach them to your phone. So if you go over here, go back to your phone app, go over here to recents, you'll find over here, you see this one right here, yesterday I did a video, and in the background I got Bixby going off. I got so many phones in here. You see here I did a video where I did the transcription. You tap on this, it'll show you the full transcription, and you can use Galaxy Eye to get a full summary of that call transcript, which is absolutely fantastic. It'll give you tags and things like that as well. Galaxy Eye is truly next level. I know Samsung talked about it a lot in the keynote, but features like this with the new call recording and transcription really show you that they're taking Galaxy Eye to the next level. And that was a perfect segue because next we're going to talk about Galaxy Eye settings in general and the Now bar and the Now brief. So if you go into Galaxy Eye, you'll want to make sure that you go through each of your settings and make sure that they're turned on. Some of them are turned off by default. And you can also choose if you want to process data only on device for specific Galaxy Eye features. Last year when the Galaxy S24 Ultra launched, you had to choose if you wanted to do on-device processing for all the features. You couldn't choose just one or the other, but as you go through these, you can now choose this on a per app basis, basically, in terms of Galaxy Eye, whether or not you want it to process on device or not. I personally find all the Galaxy Eye features to be pretty helpful, but transcript assist, very, very helpful. I just showed you guys that with the call. Browse assist has a new feature where it lets you read highlights out loud for a web page. This only works in Samsung Internet. So if you use Google Chrome, it's not going to work for you there, but it's very cool because it also translates pages that are in other languages. So you can translate a page and get highlights of that page in real time. Photo Assist has some new features: generative edit, sketched image, portrait studio. Audio Eraser, which is specific to the Galaxy S25 series, allows you to erase audio that's in the background of your video that you don't want, annoying background noise. Very cool feature. Photo Ambient Wallpaper, which is also in the wallpaper settings, that will allow you to create a wallpaper that basically shows you your weather. You go to Wallpaper and Style, you go to Change Wallpapers. Down here, you now have generative wallpapers and photo ambient wallpapers. You can choose that, play around with it. It's a pretty cool feature as well. And then down here, two new features: Health Assist, which if you turn this on, gives you personalized insights and data, which is on the new widget right here that I have on the home screen. This is for One UI 7 specific. Very, very useful insights about your health data, particularly if you have a Galaxy Watch or a Galaxy Ring that's prepared with your phone as well. Information provided by Health Assist may not be accurate. They just have to put this disclaimer here, of course, to kind of cover them in case, anyone has a health condition, you don't want to use this. You should always contact your doctor. Down here, you still have the toggle to process all data on device, not just the per app options that I showed you guys earlier. And then the really cool, probably my favorite new Galaxy Eye feature is the Now Bar and Now Brief. The Now Brief gives you a summary of content that's personalized to you every day. And you can choose the content you want to include. I included everything: health and wellness, travel, get information about your upcoming flights, get information about your upcoming events, routines, which we'll talk more about routines and modes in a bit, digital well-being, how much you use your app, your device, communication and messaging, moments from gallery, traffic updates for your commute, Samsung news, smart home things like if there's someone at your door for your video doorbell, music and podcasts you might like from Spotify, YouTube Music. It's all integrated, as well as suggestions for YouTube Shorts that you might like to watch. You can see right here, here's my midday brief. It's got weather, some news stories I might like, and a playlist that I might enjoy in Spotify. You get one in the morning, one in the midday, and one in the evening, tailored to you fully. And again, you can choose exactly what you want to show there. Now, along with the Now Brief, you also have the Now Bar. The Now Bar settings are inside lock screen and AOD. So if you tap on Now Bar, you can now choose the information that will go on your lock screen. You can choose sports from Google, Maps, Samsung Health, interpreter, clock, voice recorder, notes, and emergency sharing. And as you add more apps that are compatible, you will be able to see those show up here as well. You can also include the Now Brief on the Now Bar, and media player and your current mode from your modes and routines will also show there by default. Very useful feature. I've showed some examples of how this works in the past, but just as an example with YouTube Music, we'll go ahead and show this with the non-copyrighted music because I don't want to get, sued by any studios. Here's some non-copyrighted music. So if you play it, your Now Bar is going to show you, let's go here, right there on the lock screen. You can tap on this on the lock screen and get album art. You'll also have toggles for like your Buds 3 Pro, or if you use other Samsung Buds, the toggles will appear there for your headphones as well. Now, if you're a sports fan, as a bonus tip here, if you're a sports fan, if you go over to your Google on the left side here of your home screen and scroll over, you'll find Customize Your Space and your sports teams and leagues. And if you go here, you can see the teams you're following. These are the teams that are going to show up on the Now Bar and the live activities on your Galaxy S25. So if you go and scroll over, you can edit this and choose any team from NFL, NBA, soccer, anything that you want. So many sports here. There's just tons of stuff. Any sports you follow, you can add them, and then you're going to get information about that on your Now Bar and your live activities on the S25. Now, you also want to make sure, I know I didn't mention this, but we saw it, but I didn't mention it earlier. With Galaxy Eye, if you go into the Now Brief, make sure you choose to turn this on or off. I do not like to have Expand Now Brief without unlocking on, because then someone will be able to see your Now Brief by just tapping on it on the Now Bar on the lock screen, and there could be personal information in there, and I don't really want people accessing that. You can turn it on or off. depending on, how worried you are about someone seeing that personal information. Let's dive into the battery settings and device care. So if we go down here, let's first take a look at our battery settings. Device care and battery have been separated out, even though you can still access battery from in here. First of all, background usage limits. I always turn this off just because sometimes if you have put unused apps to sleep on, it'll slow down getting notifications for your social media apps, which is something that a lot of people really don't want. You can turn sleeping on a per app basis if you want. Battery protection is a new feature. It has some new different toggles, basic, adaptive, and maximum. When your battery is charged to 100, charging will stop until it drops to 95 again. Basic is fine. Adaptive is a little dangerous in the beginning because you might wake up with a battery that's only 80%. You can try it. As it learns over time, it'll do a better job. But if you need 100% right when you wake up, just be a little careful with that particular setting. If you scroll down, charging, show charging, fast wireless, those are all on by default. Auto dim screen when you're below 5%. There is advanced battery information coming to the S25 Ultra as well, so you'll be able to see charging cycles and all that. It's not here yet, but an update should come out in the next few days, and you'll be able to view all that information here as well. All right, now let's scroll down to device care. In device care, you have a couple of more options. Performance profile lets you change between standard and light profiles. If you want to save maximum battery and have maximum cooling efficiency, change it to light. You really don't gain any or lose anything unless you're a hardcore multitasker or power user. I've run my phone in light mode for a long time, never had any issues on the S24 Ultra. Setting doesn't apply to games, so if you game, it's not going to apply light mode when you're in the game. You'll use your game booster settings to set that up. Auto optimization, this will allow you to restart your phone on a schedule. I like to do this once a week around 3 a.m. on Thursday or Wednesday. Just gives you a fresh start, clear some of that stuff out of the app memory and just gives you a fresh start, which is never a bad idea. You don't even notice that it happened usually. You've got diagnostics and you've got maintenance mode, which most people probably don't need anything there to do with maintenance mode. Now up here, you can show device care on app screen, which is something I usually do. You can also see your storage. This is a 256 model. You've got a trash down here, unused apps, duplicate files and large files. You can clean up your storage, which you're not going to need to do right away, but it's a good thing to keep in mind for the future. And in memory down here, I'm not going to do it now because you need to restart the device, but you can turn your RAM Plus on and change the amount of virtual RAM that's being used, which will speed up your device. It's actually on 8 gigabytes out of the box on this one by default, but I think this is a region thing. They have different defaults depending on what region that you're in. So you might just want to check that. Screenshots and screen recording save location. You can change the screenshot and screen recording save location in advanced features. So we go to advanced features, screenshots and screen recording. You can see here that there's a lot of things you can change, not only the quality and the format, but down here you can change where the screenshots are saved. This is great because if you clutter up, your gallery with a bunch of screenshots, you could choose a custom folder for where you want this to be saved. And you can also do the same thing for your screen recordings, which will get rid of some of those screenshots. If you take a lot of screenshots like I do for tutorials, then it's going to clutter up all your family pictures. You might not like that, and you can separate some of that stuff out. You can also change your quality, format, save original screenshots, and all this good stuff inside of your settings there for advanced features. Side key settings. So you can change your side key settings by pressing volume down on the side key. Right here is side button settings. Double press, you can change the double press shortcut. You can either open camera or a new option that I've seen, you now use AI select, which is smart select. That's what it used to be called. Lets you take a crop screenshot and do a bunch of other cool stuff. There's other options like voice recorder, modes and routines. You can open any app you want. Long press now opens Gemini by default. Bixby is no longer the default. So if you hold this down, long press, you're gonna get Gemini. And Gemini will be able to answer queries. It can also integrate with your Samsung applications. So if you want to use Bixby, you can switch it back. But if you want to use Gemini, make sure that once you do go into Gemini, you turn on these extensions. So you go up to settings in Gemini, go to extensions, and make sure Samsung Calendar, Notes, and Reminder are all toggled on so it can interface with your Samsung apps and add calendar appointments, create notes. It can create summaries like of a web page if you're doing research. It can create reminders for you and all that good stuff. Gemini now integrates with your Samsung phone very, very well as answering queries from the web. Find My Mobile and theft protection. So if we go into the Galaxy S25 Ultra settings and go to security and privacy, you'll see there's a couple of things here that you can set up. The first one is the lost device protection. Find My Mobile, you can enable Find My Mobile, use your Samsung account, And you can also have it send last location, which I would recommend you turn on. Make sure you set that up. And then theft protection, you should check out all of these things. Identity check, which basically requires biometrics and security delay when changing sensitive settings on your phone. You can set this up, and it's a very, very secure feature that Samsung has added. And theft detection, offline device lock, and remote lock, which are Android specific features. You can turn these on or off, and it will allow you to lock your device remotely and also automatically lock your device if it detects that your device has been stolen. So if someone grabs it out of your hand and they run really fast, then that will happen. Also, offline device lock, if your phone loses its network connection, it'll automatically lock the device, so someone will need your PIN, pattern, passcode, fingerprint, face scan to get back in. All three of these are things I highly recommend turning on. These ones down here, Android features specifically, but they give you an extra layer of protection in case your device gets lost or stolen, in addition to the Find My Mobile feature. S25 camera settings. So I'm going to make a separate camera video, but there's one thing you should definitely do, and that is install the Camera Assistant application. So if you go down to the the Galaxy Store, not Google Store, go to the Galaxy Store and search for Camera Assistant, you'll find this app from Samsung, and it gives you some additional powerful camera features. So then when you go into your camera, tap on this little expand button here, you're going to see, it's taking an auto photo, tap on this here, go to settings, you'll see you've got all the regular camera settings, which there's good stuff here too, scan QR code, shot suggestions, intelligent optimization, which I like to turn down because it over sharpens things. Swipe shutter button, you can choose what that does. Create a GIF is something I like to do. Turn the watermark on or off. Advanced pictures, you can turn on high efficiency pictures if you want. Pro mode video, you can choose RAW and JPEG. Down here, you've got some other options like video stabilization options, advanced video, high bitrate videos, HDR, log. This is a new feature, Galaxy Log. If you want to play with this, if you're a pro videographer, you use it for creating things. Video and pro mode, I highly recommend turning that on because you can use it in both modes as well. Now, as I said, the other options I like to enable, tracking autofocus, composition guide, shooting methods. You can turn on different ways to shoot. You can have a floating shutter button if you want, shutter sound, vibration feedback. And now here's the Camera Assistant. These are additional settings that you can utilize to customize your device. Now, they have a couple of new ones in here that you can add for the S25 series in particular. I always like to turn off auto lens switching. That's something I always get rid of. Down here, I also usually turn on quick tap shutter and prioritize focus over speed to get higher quality photos. Down here, we've got two new features for the S25 series, HDR+, optimized color of contrast to videos recorded in video and pro video modes. And then down here, you also have save videos to external storage. This is also for pro videographers. If you're using that RAW mode, the new Galaxy Log mode, you're going to want to use this because this will allow you to connect an external SSD and you can record footage directly to that, which is obviously very, very useful if you're doing pro video with your Galaxy S25 Ultra. I'll have a full camera video, but this is just a set of camera settings that I like to switch when I first get the device. And also make sure you download Camera Assistant because it is incredibly useful. Modes and routines. So you'll want to go in and set up your modes and routines, settings, modes and routines. Make sure that all of these are working for you in the mode section. You've now, your sleep. You can figure out what this does, right? You can turn this on automatically, or you can, set this however you want. And sleep, also has custom triggers, right? You can see it's going to change the lock screen. It's going to basically whatever you want it to do. When you turn on sleep, is it going to silence your phone, put it on do not disturb, turn on some calming music? You want to set up these routines exactly how you want them. They all kind of have some default things like the theater. Obviously, you can turn off your screen, turn on do not disturb. So you want to play with these and get them correct for you. I am going to make a full video on how to customize modes and routines, but setting some of these up is very basic, right? Like theater mode, obviously if you turn on theater mode, it's obvious that you want do not disturb, you want your screen off, but you can customize them to do other things as well. Now routines are a little more complicated. They are a specific if-then setup. If this action occurs or if this state occurs, do another action. Samsung now has a bunch of routines that you can enable without having to do any custom coding. You can also now share routines. And so I'm going to make a video where I have a ton of routines that I'm going to share with you guys that you guys can import and utilize on your phone. Some of my favorite ones though are things like if I go to work, when I go to work, I can have it, switch the Wi-Fi, turn off my alarm, lots of cool stuff that you can do. Turn the brightness to 60%, change my lock screen shortcuts. They've got a ton of routines that are pre-made here, and I highly recommend thumbing through these and see if any of those work for you. But if you stay subscribed to the channel, I will have a set of my favorite routines you could customize for your use as well, but Samsung has some good stuff right there. I mentioned this in a previous video, but to customize your S Pen, you can download the Good Lock module that is called Pentastic. And Pentastic basically allows you to customize every aspect of your S Pen. And so you can change the pointer, you can change the way the air command looks. You guys saw that I have the circle there. You can change the sound that happens when you open it. And you can even have a shortcut that when you double tap, it's going to do that particular shortcut. So you can see here, when I have the button set, I double tap it on the screen, it opens the AI select and lets me select a part of my screen. So you should definitely set this up, play with your S Pen settings, still a very valuable feature. Set up your shortcuts as well, because you can add as many shortcuts as you want to your S Pen settings, and make sure your air command is really working for you, and that all of the S Pen features are things that you're actually going to use. I have a full video on S Pen tips and tricks as well, so if you guys want to check that out after customizing a little bit with Good Lock, you can definitely do that and see some other ways that you could use your S Pen. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification icon for future videos like this, and we'll have a lot more to come here. Check out sammyguru.com for all your latest Samsung news, tips, tricks, tutorials. I'll have a full review of the S25 Ultra over there as well. Appreciate you guys checking out this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.